Hello all, Jamie Rodgers here from Jamie Rodgers Crafts, and today I would like to introduce you to my brand new Floral Lace Collection. This is the fourth collection we have brought you here at Jamie Rodgers Crafts, and I believe, probably our biggest one to date. We have got some incredibly detailed clear acrylic stamps for you. We have got some amazing stencils that coordinate with them, some MDF and some new potions too. We will be looking at our brand new Elite Misters. I also have a couple of bits to share with you that you might not have seen anywhere else yet. Now, just to sort of give you a bit of a tease, you know that we've got our glue, and this of course is one that everybody has fallen in love with genuinely. If I had a penny for every review that I'd read telling me how wonderful this glue is, I could probably retire. Well, we wanted to make this even better for you. We'll talk more about this a little later on, but we're bringing you super size value. Now, these are a litre bottle designed to refill your 125ml bottles. And because you're buying in bulk, there is a huge saving on the recommended retail price in comparison to buying the equivalent amount of glue in our little bottles. We'll talk more about that later, but that is something I don't think you will have seen just yet. So grab a cup of tea or a cold drink, whatever you're into, and join me with a pen and paper while we have a little look through all of this lot. And I tell you to bring your pen and paper because I think you might want a few of these goodies, and you might want to make some notes about the bits that we have a little look through regarding techniques as well, because there's a couple of bits I want to share with you that will hopefully inspire you once you've got your hands on these goodies. Now, we're always talking about this, but where do you go to get them? You know by now, I should imagine, that here at Jamie Rodgers Crafts, we don't actually sell direct. We want to support our stockists and we want to support our retailers. So as always, if you would like to get your hands on the items that I'm sharing with you today, pop onto our website. It's www.jamierodgerscrafts.com, and on there you will find a stockist list. It's forever growing, genuinely. New out stockists are appearing every day, and we're getting our products out to a further and further audience. So if you haven't already found your favourite stockist, pop on there and have a little look, and you might just be able to track down these goodies in one of those stockists. So let's start off by having a little look at the stamp, shall we? So let's start off by having a little look at our first stamp. This is our lace border stamp. Now, there are 6 different stamps in this release, all featuring this lace detailing. Now, the idea with this collection is that everything is going to coordinate together for you. So you're going to have your backgrounds, you're going to have your foregrounds, you're going to have your focal points, and it's going to all carry through with this lovely floral lace feel to it. Now, with our A6 stamps, these are actually made in one of the world's leading manufacturers here in the UK. They're made in Peterborough, believe it or not, so not that far up the road from where I am, and they're top quality. And I mention this because it's always nice to know that when you're getting hold of a product, it's a genuine quality product that is going to last you a very long time if you look after it, and going to give you the most amazing impressions. Now, with our lace stamp, this lace border one, as you can see, it's about 6 inches in height approximately, but it's actually designed in such a way that you can stamp it and carry it on. Now, you might remember our pattern match stamps from our Christmas Wishes collection. This is of a similar idea, giving you the ability to carry on building this image up. So whether you'd like to use it in a scrapbook page, or whether you wish to do some home decor with it, or anything on a larger scheme, this is going to be able to match up for you and continue on, so you can choose where you wish to end it. You'll also notice I love a bit of bling and a few pearls and gems and bits. You've probably seen that in my creations. There's lovely little areas throughout the design where it's really simple to go in and add that little bit of bling, whether that is from a gem or a gel pen or glitter glue, any of them sort of products, and really bring this to life. And when we're talking about stamps, obviously, there's so many ways in which we can achieve that sparkle too, with embossing powders and stamping with metallic inks and pearl inks and different mediums to really bring these together. But for my boards, I've just gone for black and white because I think it's lovely for you to get to see all of that incredible detail shine through in this monochromatic style. Now, of course, when we go on to looking at some samples with this one, it's nice to show you in different colours too, and different ideas. I'm going to bring this one in to begin with. Now, this is just using it as one little band going through the middle of the card. The flowers I'm going to share with you shortly have been used in the background to build up that panel, and one of the sentiments used to finish this off. On to our next one, and you're going to see all of these elements, I promise, throughout the video, but we've got our lovely hot air balloons coming up shortly and our little banner with our sentiments on. But actually this card is all about this lovely lace border being used at the top and the bottom, framing this area to which we could bring in a whole host of different items. It certainly doesn't just have to be our hot air balloons. We could be building up die cuts in here, or adding in a big heart for Valentine's, or, you know, it could be any reason, any occasion. One of my favourites actually that I created for this collection was this one, bringing in a Christmas theme, and of course bringing in our classic poinsettia from our Essential Christmas release, along with a little bit of foliage, and still sticking of course with our banner and our sentiments which are coming up in this release as well. Now this is one I love. This one's been done by Ian, and you can see how he's used the lace across here, added in his hot air balloon, also added on a little sentiment and brought in that little bit of sparkle and shimmer with some gold mirror card accents. Now we mentioned some sentiments, so let's bring those in as well and share these with you. So we've got another A6 stamp set for you. With this one we've got quite a lot going on. We've got happy birthday, thinking of you, sending hugs, best wishes, birthday wishes, get well soon, sent with love. Then we've got a few larger verses. Now this is designed intentionally so that you've got the same fonts running through, going from the outside of your card where you might not have a lot of room, or maybe on your gift tag, all the way through to the insert where you can hopefully use a little bit larger sentiment, knowing that everything coordinates through. For our larger sentiments, we've got sending you all the wishes in the world for the happiest year ahead, sending love and wishes on your most magical day, wishing you the most magical birthday filled full of love, presents, cake and wishes for the year ahead. And lastly, hoping you have the most fantastic day filled full of birthday magic to help you celebrate this special day. So they're really general sort of designs going through this side and then heading in for that sort of birthday feeling going down the other side, but giving you lots of options to take you through the year. Now with these smaller sentiments, a lot of these will also fit in the banner, which will come up on the hot air balloon I'll share with you shortly. And you'll see loads of those used throughout the creations. Moving on to our third set, this is our lace square. Now this one is gorgeous. And like when we were talking about the sentiments we just looked at, I mentioned about the insert of your card. To me, this is the perfect frame to put on the inside and then add a little sentiment in the middle, especially if you stamp it in quite pale inks so that it blends into the background slightly, but it's going to bring that lacy element from the outside of your project onto the inside. If you're a scrapbooker and you'd like to cut out that middle and turn this into a frame, that can easily be done as well. And this flower head, which is a separate flower in the middle, that actual flower head element, if you'd like to cut and layer that, it will fit on top of the flowers found throughout the lace. You've then got little sort of flourishes, a couple of flowers and another border located towards the bottom of this set. Just trying to give you as much value for money throughout the set and hopefully lead you off to create some lovely patterns and bits to go alongside your floral sort of lace frame. Now this one's just focused on the frame here, a little sentiment added onto the side, very easy to do. This one's actually been coloured using our Elite misters that we'll come to shortly, and you'll see that they match in with our Elite cardstock that I'll also talk about when we get to those misters. Bringing this one in, actually using some gold embossing powder, because of course, as I mentioned, why not decorate these with embossing powder, especially if you're using our quick dry pigment inks. They're great for embossing, and this butterfly will be coming up shortly. Another one to share with you, I love working in our Night Sky Navy Elite Mister, and this is what's been used to create this card, all the way from the background right the way up. Now our butterfly will be coming up shortly, so will this stencil in the background. We've already seen our little sentiment, and now we're looking at this lovely lace square. So it just shows how everything's going to work together for you throughout this collection. Now those are the first 3 stamps. The next 3 all have a bit of a difference to them, and that's that they have matching MDF and matching stencils. And I'll talk to you about why we need those as we go through, but we'll look at the designs first of all. This is our first one. These are our flowers. Now you can see with our flowers, we've got quite a few different ones on this set, giving you the ability to build up really lovely backgrounds, create sort of corner elements if you want to, or of course just stick with one simple flower and add in a little bit of foliage to it as well. I love this set, and I'll show you why. As a scrapbooker at heart, It's a great one for actually making my own background pages as well. I had so much fun stamping this and colouring it in with alcohol markers. And it's great because it gives you the freedom to coordinate your colours in your background with what's going on in your photos. So everything matches. And it also means that we can buy plain cardstock and really dress it up to go through. And maybe on one page you want to go this heavy. Maybe on the next page you just want to do a corner or a border or a banner. You know, it's up to you, but you could coordinate with one set of stamps all the way through many pages, if not a complete album, to make sure that it all keeps together and has that matching theme. And especially when we go back in the collection, and this is what I mean about everything tying in together. If we brought in our lovely lace frame and used this for our photos, cut out the middle, added our photos below it, and then start adding a couple of these around our scrapbook page, we can see how it's all going to coordinate. All this lace work is going to match through into our stamps, going to match through into our frames. So everything will coordinate for you. Now, of course, with this set as well, it doesn't have to just be about scrapbooking. We can use it in so many ways. So if I bring in a couple of cards here, now I'm giving you a bit more of a sneaky on our hot air balloon. That one's coming up next. But it's all about these flowers being used around the edges here to create that scene, to fill in the void that would be left on this card if we just had the hot air balloon. And I think they look really lovely, and it shows how you can make them trail up your projects as well. Now this is one I actually demonstrated on Create and Craft because I love this style. Now of course this is very similar to the scrapbook page that I just shared with you, but it shows you how we can bring these in and use them on a card front, doing very similar techniques, making in theory our own background papers or focal points. This is another one I demonstrated on TV. I really love these flowers, and this time I just stamped them using a selection of colours of our quick dry pigment ink. So there's the elephant grey, there's the chameleon green, and there's our piggy pink. And then I've just coloured in the flowers using the opposite colour of alcohol markers. So for instance, if I stamped in the pink, I coloured in grey. If I stamped in the grey, I coloured in pink, just to really decorate those areas. Then in the background, you can see our heart stencil, and we'll be getting to that a little while later when we get on to showing you some of our large stencils that, of course, coordinate perfectly with this collection. Now with this, and I'll talk to you about the stencils at the same time, because it's important you see why we've got both. This is our lovely stencil set, so Floral Lace Flower Stencil set. And in here, you've got lots of different components. And I've given you with these stencils your positives and your negatives. So that means that you've got your backgrounds that we can work with, and it means that we've got your lovely sort of extra pieces, your maskers as such, which you can put on the top. So let's show you actually, while we're here, let's show you. One thing talking about it, it's another thing showing you. So let's get a couple of bits actually and have a little bit of a play with this, because it's nice to see these pieces coming together. So I'll just load up my stamp press. Let's get rid of this bit for a second. Bring in a piece of card and we'll lay that down, and we can then start doing a little bit of stamping. So I've got one of my flower stamps here actually, so this is a great one to be using. So we just clear that off and we'll bring that in. We're going to be stamping in black, and we're going to use our Black Panther quick dry ink. So load up that stamp so it's nice and ready to work. And then we're going to bring this over and give that a nice firm push down. Now, of course, the ink will transfer onto our card, and we have got a lovely stamped image. Now that we could just leave at this stage. We don't have to take this any further. We would be more than happy to have that just as our panel. But if we go back to this stencil set, and I've got one here, let's open this one up for a second. Let's delve into the fresh product. I'll show you why. So if we bring this one in, and I'll get out these bits as well. Here we go. So we've got all of our components. So we've got all of these pieces. They're the ones we'll talk about in a sec. But we've got this part here. Now this is great because it means that we can find the matching part to our flower. Let's see which way round we need to be. Are we on the right way? Let's flip that over, see if we get it that side. Give it a little twist, depending on where I've put my stamp. There we go. So match that up, and then we can ink through it. So if we wanted to bring in some blended inks, maybe our Elite Misters, any sort of products that you wanted to, maybe even a clear texture paste, and add that over the top to give that flower a glazed finish. You could do. It's up to you how you use it, but it's, to me, about getting in and colouring them pieces really easily. Now, even when you look to our stamp that's got, let me find them, I've hid them, I've lost them. Honestly, I've got so much stuff on my desk. It's fun trying to keep it all in one place. Even when we get onto this flower, you're going to notice that you have the full piece on the stencil. You'll then find that you have got just the leaves, so if you wish to go in and colour just those areas you can do, and you've got just the flower as well. So if you wish to colour them separately you can, or you can of course do them together. Now there is only one piece which is not on our stencil which you will find on our stamps, and that is this flower down here. And that's because when we tried to stencil that, it just becomes a bit of a mess and it doesn't really cut out. It's such a delicate design as a stamp, it doesn't really translate into stencil form. So we've left that one off of this stencil for you, but we've given you the stencil elements to match all of the other pieces. Now these pieces that cut out of the middle, why do we need these? Let's talk about those for a sec. These are great because it means that we can put these on the top here. So maybe you've done your stamping, or maybe you just want one flower. You're going to stamp that down first of all, then you're going to bring in something like your misters and add them over the top. You can then remove this piece and under there will be protected. So if you wanted to have like a splattered background, maybe you want some colour coming in the background, but you don't want that bit to be coloured, that's your way to mask that off and protect it. And you can of course do that with the different pieces. These are also really good if you would like to lay them out on your plates in your die cutting machines and then send them through with your rubber mat to actually emboss and make up backgrounds. Or again, you could do corner elements or feature elements, borders, different decorative pieces. Because of course, when we're talking about working with masks or stencils, especially ours, because they're cut from that extra thick mylar, they're going to give you quite a nice depth when you come to emboss them through your machines with a rubber mat. So that's another reason why we need these stencils and why they can match perfectly with our stamps. So let's take these out of the way for a second and bring in the next reason why we need them. So we're just going to take these out of the way, take our piece of card off of there for a sec, get rid of that stamp, and we're going to bring our mask in and we're going to place this down on top of our stamp press. Now we can go in with this mask and we can hold it down with our different pieces. We can then bring in our matching MDF. Now I was going to talk to you about this when we got onto our MDF, but I'm jumping the gun slightly and we'll bring it in now. But you can take your matching MDF piece, you can pop it into that stencil, you can then load up your stamp and bring it across and stamp it. And the reason that this is a bonus is normally when we're trying to stamp on MDF, there's no way of holding it down. If we mask it, it's going to get covered, and then when we stamp it, we're not going to get that impression. Or what can also happen with MDF is it sticks to your stamp. So you go in, you stamp, you lift up, and that moves. Well, even if it does move, because your mask is still in the same place, you can bring that back, you can nest it back where it needs to be, and you can stamp again, knowing that nothing's going to have changed, everything's still going to match up, and you're going to be able to stamp that design perfectly. So you can end up with really lacy, delicate MDF pieces that are stamped to match your project, or to begin your project, and then you can take that to the next level with different paints, mediums and inks and bits to really make these sparkle and shine. So that's just a couple of the reasons why I really recommend that if you haven't already, you get hold of the matching stencils to go along with, of course, your stamps. Now, you can use them just as a stencil. We don't have to use them together if we don't wish to. So if you prefer just working with a stencil, you can do that too. And this is one of the cards I've done where I've just brought the stencil in, I've played with some different inks, I've coloured through it, I've then stamped in some different elements for my foliage, I've drawn in the lines where I need to, added in a few details with gel pens and markers just to decorate that up. And I love this technique, so I've done it quite a few times, just creating slightly different styles. But you can see that here I've left an area up this side. On this one we've gone completely full on. For this one we've left a different area up here. We've brought in some of our wooden butterflies for this one. We've brought in one of our MDF banners for this one. So it just shows you how you can go off in different tangents. Of course, when we wish to colour over our stamped images, it also masks off the other areas for us, so that's really easy to do too. So bringing in them blending brushes, colouring through the stencils, makes that really easy to add on different inks and mediums onto them flowers too. So then, that shows you the flower set. That talks to you a little bit about the MDF. Oh, sorry, not the MDF, the masks and the stamps. We haven't shown you the MDF, have we? I wasn't going to go about this in this way, but I think actually it's possibly better I do. So let's bring in your MDF for you at the same time, because it's nice to see all the different components work together, isn't it? So this is your little box of MDF. Now there are, and I'm going to try and remember this by memory, There's lots basically. What have we got in here? We have got, I think it's 27, isn't it? 27 pieces if I remember rightly. Yeah, 27 pieces, which is 3 each of all of the different designs. So you've got all of these pieces which coordinate with your stamps. Now we did manage to cut out of the MDF this filigree piece, so we give you these as well in this set. Now as I mentioned, you don't have the mask element to that, but you do have the stamp if you'd like to go with those two together on their own. But of course your stencil and stamp set are going to match all of these other pieces. So when it comes to making them look really detailed and pretty, that's where that's going to happen. But if you don't want to and you wish to use them on their own, then of course you can do that as well. And you can bring in your inks and your paints and your marker pens to paint and colour these. But this set gives you a whole 27 of all of them elements, 3 each of your 9 different pieces to be able to decorate and build up. Now we've actually added them into these lovely little plastic pots, which I think I'm going to be using over and over again to store all different components in. So if you do collect a few of these pots, they might be handy storage for other items once you've finished with your MDF. Now, when we bring in these MDF pieces, and we'll show you these stamped. Now don't forget we've used the stencil to hold them in place. We've then stamped on top of them. With these ones I've heat embossed them as well. So we've got a bit of a shimmer going on there from the gold embossing powder, and they've just been painted with a gesso before I've stamped on top of them. So you're really building up and playing with those mediums. Now again, another one of our plaques. Now these have been out a little while, the large plaques. So if you haven't seen these already, you might like to check these out. There are hearts, there are circles, and there are sort of fancy rectangles. And this flower head, this sort of sideways glance at the flower, I really like that one, and I found this fun to use. And then just add in with the same colour markers or paint, just the stems to really build that out. Leaving quite a bit of room on here to add in a sentiment or a greeting if you want to. Or maybe you want to use these as little decorations to hang on your doors, to say bathroom, bedroom, them sort of things. Loads of different reasons you might like to use these plaques. This one's another fun one. So again, painted with different colours of gessos and then stamped over in black, added on a few gold gems and a little highlight here and there with a gold marker pen, just to really make that shimmer and sparkle. Now moving on to our next stamp set, this one is our hot air balloon. Now just like our flower, this one also has quite a few matching elements to it. So let's bring in the stamps and the stencils for you. So with our stamp set, we have got our hot air balloon, we have got our banner, and then we have got 5 different sort of sentiments that will fit within the banner. So we've got happy birthday, just for you, good luck, thank you, and send in wishes. Now don't forget, a lot of the sentiments off the sentiment set also fit within that banner. And of course you could be adding in die cut words in there if you prefer in different pieces. Now this is one of those sets that I absolutely love because I look at it and I see not only the hot air balloon but other options from it. And I wasn't alone with this, and I'll show you some samples to give you some ideas, starting with it as a hot air balloon, of course. So here I've stamped it on my card blank, and then I've just taken a pair of scissors and cut up to the basket and cut down to the top and round one side, creating the edgeable effect as such. I've then taken another one, cut it out and frame padded that on the top, added in the little sentiment banner as well. On the inside of the card, we've then got our lovely lace square and the sentiment added into the middle, just again showing you how everything coordinates together. For this one, I've taken our lace border, stamped that at the top and the bottom. Well, I've actually stamped it and cut it out, to be honest, because again, that's a really easy one to cut out. And then you could use it as a little pocket to put things in. Again, great for framing photos, or again, masking out this area for us to then bring in and add other elements. This time I chose to bring in the hot air balloon and a little sentiment, but again, really good fun to do. This is one that Lynn's done, and I really like this actually. This is bringing in 2 of the balloons, our lovely little thank you on our sentiment, and she's used our Elite Misters, which we'll be coming up to talking about shortly, to make the colouring for this and the background. Then talking about, I started it, didn't I, and I never show you, talking about using this for different items. This is one that Ian's done, and I love this. Ian's taken the hot air balloon, he's cut off the basket, he's moved it to the top of the hot air balloon, and then filled it full of flowers to make it look like a vase. And I thought that was such a clever idea. When we get on to looking at the MDF that goes with our hot air balloon, I'll also show you a light bulb that Ian did, which I thought was really clever too. Now this is another fun one. This is just bringing in our hot air balloon, stamping it, and we're going to talk a little bit about our foiled inkables shortly as well. Now talking or sticking with our MDF and bringing back in our MDF elements. We will look at some MDF to match with this shortly, but it shows you how we can stamp on top of that. And then another one that I love doing, and I've got into this as a bit of a habit at the moment, is using white ink over dark cardstock. So this is a white ink pad stamped over the top of Night Sky Navy Elite card, so that we get that contrast between the white and the blue, which is something I find really, really pretty. Now, of course, with our hot air balloon, we do, of course, have those matching stencils, and we've got our matching MDF. So just like before, our stencils come with the positive and the negative. So it gives you those options to mask off the sort of stamped image, or, of course, the background, depending on which you prefer. And I'm going to bring in one card to share with you. This is one I really enjoyed doing. So I started off by taking the outside of the mask, placing it down and intently colouring my 3 areas. So I've got 2 in teal and 1 in yellow. I've then stamped over the top so that I've got that lovely white colouring coming through, slightly more teal ink in the middle. I've then used this part of it, if I can get it, here we go, and put that down and inked around the edges. And I've just moved that across each time so that I could colour my background. So really lots of techniques we can do by playing with those stencils and bringing in lots of different colours to them. Now, of course, just like before, when we mentioned adding our MDF into the middle, our MDF will fit perfectly into the centres of the stencils too. And we have a few different options for you, a couple of different options for these ones. We have got your MDF with your balloons and your banners. And then we also have new packets of just the banners. I have a feeling a lot of you are going to fall in love with the banners. So we've also done a packet of 10 banners as a separate entity that you can purchase if you wish to just top up those banner elements. Then on top of that, bringing in another option, and you might have seen these already. I'm going to bring one down and share with you. We also have for you our hot air balloon MDF mobile kits. And there's another one of these coming up for the butterflies in a moment. But with our hot air balloon MDF kit, you get the ring to hang all of your items on, and then you get 9 of the MDF hot air balloons. And these have got a hole added to the top of them so that you can easily hang them onto the ring if you wish to. Of course, you don't have to use them just to decorate this. And we've actually given you more balloons in this set than I've used on any of the samples I've created, and we've done that intentionally so that you've got extras if you wish to add them onto it, but of course you can use them to make little hanging decorations for Christmas trees and different elements like that if you prefer. So again, just trying to give you more options with them. These 2 will fit inside our stencils, so when we come to stamp on top of them, it's nice and easy to hold that in place while you're inking and adding to them. So you might wish to go for the mobile set, you might wish to go for the set which gives you 3 balloons and 3 banners, or you might wish to go for the MDF set that gives you 10 banners, but all of them will coordinate with either the banner, the balloon, and of course the stamp too, giving you so many options in how you can work those together. Now, I did give you a bit of a tease about this earlier when I told you Ian had been quite creative and created a light bulb with his MDF hot air balloon, and I wanted to share this one with you because I thought this was such a lovely idea. So this of course is using the one out of the pack where you get the 3 balloons and the 3 banners, because it hasn't got a hole in this one, so it's perfect for your light bulb idea. And then he's added on some of our forget-me-not flowers, and he's added this all onto one of our circular plaques. Now, this is a lovely one to share with you. Isn't this pretty? This is one Lynn's created, where she's turned it into a little hanger just by adding some ribbon around the sort of basket actually of the hot air balloon, and then building up in the background with some of our gemstones texture paste, some of our elite misters, adding on top our classic poinsettia, a bit of foliage and some ribbon to make this really cool hanging Christmas decoration. Here's one I've done where I've again gone for our rectangular plaques, and I've taken 2 of the hot air balloons and I've stamped them inside the stencil as such, and then I've heat embossed them with some sparkly black embossing powder to give that a bit of a shimmer. Now, of course, you can take these items into home decor as well, and we see this when we talk about the plaques and bits, but why not frame them? This is a box frame from IKEA. They weren't overly expensive, and I know other stores do them too, but I've just taken 2 of the balloons, painted them in different colour gessos, stamped on them while they're inside the stencil, and heat embossed them in gold embossing powder to make this lovely little effect inside our shadowed frame. Now, of course, you can add more in there if you want to, but I was quite happy leaving that quite plain. But it's just a different idea for you. And maybe if you're giving a gift and you'd like all of your elements to coordinate, you could use this on the card, you could use it on the gift, you could use it on the gift bag. Everything could coordinate all the way through, especially if you know somebody that's like me who is really obsessed with hot air balloons. I absolutely love hot air balloons, and something I find really, really pretty, and they remind me of my granddad, to be honest, which I haven't said before, but they do remind me of my granddad. My granddad used to ring us every time one was in the air and let us know that they was up, and I always really loved that. So every time I see one, I think of him. So I suppose that's part of the reason I absolutely love them. But to me, they're just a really colourful, fun thing that we can decorate into so many different ways. From there, we then move on to our butterfly. So this is our last stamp, it's our 6th stamp, and this is our lace butterfly set. Now with this one, we get 4 different stamps. We have got in this set for you 2 small butterflies, our large butterfly, and our separate antennae. So if you do wish to cut the large one out, you don't have to try and cut around the antennae. You can stamp this on the underneath of the image so that they're there already for you, and you don't have to have that white shadow line run around them, or try and cut them out if you don't wish to. If you want to, of course, you can stamp them on the top image and then cut round them. It's up to you, but it's nice to give you that option. This is a beautiful one to play with because it's so delicate. You can also easily go in and snip out and trim out bits to layer them up as well if you wish to. And of course, we're going to show you this shortly, but when we get onto the MDF aspect of this, we once again have your stencil and your MDF that all coordinates, whether it's the big or the little, so you can hold them in place, you can stamp on them and get that stamped image perfectly in place. And I'll show you that more when we go on to the MDF and the stencils. Now, when we go to samples for this one's done by Lynn. Lynn's gone in and layered this one beautifully. Look at the depth she's created. And I love the way she's not afraid to go in for different colours as well. I always tend to stick to quite plain colouring, I suppose, but the way she's gone for this lovely sort of olivey, goldeny yellow shade mixed with the red, the orange and the purple, to me is delightful. And then she's used the smaller butterflies around the edge to make this frame. I think that is absolutely gorgeous. Another one here done by myself. This time I've just stamped in black ink, of course using Black Panther quick dry pigment ink. I've then coloured it with alcohol markers just to bring in a bit of shimmer and shine to that one, and then matte and layered on matching colours. Another one done here by Lynn where she's embossed the image, and I think this is nice to see. Even though these are so detailed, you can still heat emboss them and get a beautiful effect with them. And then one here that I've done, this is stamped in our Blue Emperor and then layered on top of a misted background with one of our stencils I'll introduce you to shortly, using our Seashell Blue Elite Mister. So again, lots we can be doing with that one. I'll also bring in the stencil. I know we've given you a bit of a sneaky at that already, but if we bring in the stencil and share this one with you too. So with your stencil, this time you're going to get your masked part as such, or your positive, and then you're going to get your negatives, which are your 3 different butterflies. And of course, we've got the smaller ones and the larger one in this one for you too. So you've got all of them bits to coordinate for all of the stamps. Now, just like before, you can of course use the stencil on its own to make up a beautiful card like Lynn has here. You can also, of course, use your stencils in 2 different ways by yo-yoing between the positive and the negatives. So just like we mentioned earlier, you can use this part to mask off that stamped image and colour the background. And then if you wish to, you can of course bring this part in to add in place and colour as you see. So with this one, I actually started off by colouring the background with some oxide inks, if I remember rightly. Then I brought this part in and held it down, put black ink over the top of it of a blending brush, and then brought in the flowers and stamped them in white on top. And it's just bringing in the different sets and playing around with them to build them up and to create different styles. But of course, having the stencils, the stamps and the MDF just opens so many options to you in ways in which you're going to decorate and play with this collection. Now your MDF again comes to you in a couple of different forms. We have got for you your pack that consists of 9 elements. There are the 3 big butterflies, and then because there are 2 different designs of butterfly for your stamps, you've got this sort of really pretty large winged one and then this more symmetrically stylish one. Both of those have got matching MDF in here, and you get 3 of each of those as well, giving you 9 in total. There is also a pack of just the smaller butterflies on their own as well. So a bit like the banners, if you're in love with the small butterflies, do check out that packet. And just like the balloon, we also have for you the hanging mobile kit. And this time you receive 1 of the rings in this set and 7 butterflies to hang and decorate around it. Again, I don't think I used 7 on any of the mobiles I created. I think I stopped at 6, to be honest. But it's better for you to have more than you need. And again, these have got that hole put in them, unlike the ones in this packet, so that you can hang them if you wish to. So it just gives you those options to create different hanging decorations too. Now when we talk about samples with our MDF, this is one I wanted to share with you. This is just a little basket that I've made. And basically I've just put a little box in between two of my MDF butterflies and I added a handle to it, a little bit of tissue paper on the inside of there so that it could possibly hold some little Easter eggs maybe when it comes around to Easter, little gifts, maybe if you know somebody who's feeling a little under the weather, you could put a couple of chocolate bars in there or, you know, different gift ideas and give that as a little pick-me-up, maybe a little cheer up. Then when we go on to some more of our plaques, I love this one. So this is working with the flowers in the background, stamped and heat embossed, bringing in that butterfly onto the front here. A bit of gold ribbon going through the top to hang that up. But it's got such a shimmer and shine to it from that gold embossing powder. And I love how detailed this stamp looks when stamped on the black and then embossing in the gold. It really just pops, doesn't it? Now, of course, we don't have to stamp on top of these if we don't wish to. I know on these examples, you see I've stamped on them, but equally, you can bring them in and you can just colour them. And this is ones that I've coloured the flowers and the smaller butterflies with metallic markers, and the back butterfly, the larger one, I've painted that blue with some gesso. And then I've just added white dots and stitch marks in with a gel pen and added that onto our circular plaque. Another idea for you here is, again, stamping with the MDF, building that up, bringing in the banner from the balloon, bringing in the flowers, adding in some sort of details with gold gel pens. And then I show you the framed version of the balloon. This one is our framed version of our butterfly. So again, stamped, embossed, a little extra colouring done, a few flowers around the edge to just finish that off. But again, I think this could make a really lovely gift, or maybe if you're making to sell, a really lovely item that you could be selling on your craft stores, that again, you could coordinate throughout all of your different pieces. So that shows you all of 6 of our stamps, all 3 of the matching stencils, and all of the MDF pieces that we've released to coordinate with that collection. So there's an awful lot there to get you started, but we also felt you might like to see some matching stencils. And I say they're matching because they're all different, but they do coordinate nicely. So we'll start off here with our clouds stencil. I've got so much on my desk, it's struggling to fit it all in at the moment. But here is our first one. This is our fluffy cloud. Now I've embossed this one through my machine with a rubber mat or a tan mat, so you can hopefully see the impression. And this is using our polar white cardstock, but it gives that sort of embossing folder feel to it. Now, of course, you could be colouring with texture paste and inks and bits if you prefer, but these are large 8x8 stencils. And we do this intentionally so that you can trim them down to smaller areas and you don't have to worry about trying to join them up to cover larger areas. So it's just one of those sort of hacks to make it even easier for you to use. When we start looking at some cards that I've created with these ones, this is the first one. So I've used our Night Sky Navy cardstock. I've placed the stencil on and I've gone through with some white ink, and then I've just added some white details with a gel pen. Another one here to share with you. This time I've embossed the background and then brought in the balloons, stamped them and the flowers and added them on top just to give you a bit of a different style. Then we move on, and our next one we'll have a little look at is our Floral Delight stencil. Now you might straight away spot this or you might not, but in here we have got the same flower as what we have running through our stamps and our MDF. So you're going to notice here that that is the same flower. So again, everything coordinates. When we're building up and we're bringing our sort of creation to life, it's nice to have the matching elements run through from the background right the way up to the focal points on top. So you'll notice that this flower and the smaller head do coordinate perfectly with your stamps and your stencils and your MDF, of course. Here's one I've just embossed because I love doing this. I always feel like I'm getting extra value for money when I can emboss a stencil, because it's like I've bought an embossing folder, but I've got the whole world of stenciling to go with it, as well as that embossed feature. This one here is one I've used this stencil on, and I've used my Elite misters and I've misted over the stencil. I've had the print from the stencil as such, and then instead of cleaning off the stencil, I've put a piece of white card on it and I've sent it through my machine with that rubber mat. And what that's going to do for you is it's going to letterpress the ink off of the stencil onto the cardstock, and it will also emboss the stencil at the same time. So not only do you get that transference of ink to give you a coloured background, you also get that impression of the flowers coming through. It's a really lovely way to use stencils. If you haven't seen that done before, I'd really recommend you give it a try because it's a game changer. Then when we move on to our next one, this one is our floating hearts. So Valentine's is never far away, is it? But it's not only about Valentine's. It's always lovely to share love and to sort of show people that we love them. And I feel hearts is something that I often reach for in every aspect of crafting. So I really wanted to bring you a lovely stencil to work with that idea. And of course it matches in perfectly with this collection. So again, just embossed this one on our polar white cardstock. This time I've misted through using the Gladiator Red from the Elite Misters we'll have a little look at shortly. And then of course this is your actual stencil in its 8x8 form, so you can see what that one looks like. Then brand new, and we keep talking about these, but we're talking about our lovely Elite Misters. I absolutely love these, and I know I've said that an awful lot on today's video, but these are a game changer. These are 30ml Elite Misters, and there are 6 different colours in these. And we've seen a lot of these used throughout the projects. I seem to have said the word Elite Mister 100 times already today. But these are 6 shades of dye ink in a mister bottle. Now, I really wanted to bring you something that we could paint with, something that we could mist with, something that we could mix into other items. Because you know me, I love my recipes, and I like bringing potions together and creating different items with them. And these are just the right item. Now, when we talk about these, it's one thing talking about them. It's another thing sharing them with you. So let's do a bit of misting, shall we? Let's show you why these are so lovely. Let's bring in our little misting box to begin with. And I say this because this wasn't prepared. I just need to find a stencil. Let's pop on a piece of card and we will find our lovely cloud stencil. We wasn't going to plan to do clouds, but we're going to use some clouds. And we're going to bring in our mister. So this one is our Night Sky Navy. Now this is the bit I haven't mentioned. We've called these Elite Misters because the colours of them match our Elite cardstock. And this was really important to me. The amount of times I've used potions from all different brands and I've loved the colour that's in the bottle or on the product. What do I layer it to? What matches it? I haven't got card that matches every single product. So how about actually giving you a product that matches the card we already have? So throughout these, you'll find all of the names are very familiar and we'll run through them on cards in a moment. But we've got 6 shades that match perfectly with our Elite cardstock. Now, I'm not going to go too far over the edge because I don't want to get too messy today on my desk and I'm working in a very small tray. But you can see straight away these are very, very concentrated. And that's great because it means we can dilute them down. And let's do this actually. Let's bring in a water brush and we'll just, oh, a water brush that's got some water in it might help. Let's try this one. Oh, I can see it going down the barrel. There we go. We've got some water. So if we pick this one up and we bring back in that flour and we start diluting that down. Oh, I think I've got a bit of a dirty brush, being honest, but you're going to get the idea. I have a feeling that my brush might already have some red on it, but it's not the end of the world. It doesn't matter how organised I try it. Oh, that's better. We're seeing that blue come through and we can dilute that right the way through if we want to. Might have been yellow actually, but there's certainly some colour in this brush somewhere. But it doesn't matter. It's about showing you how we can paint with these and take them down, strip out that shading, really dilute them down from the intensity right the way down to some soft shading. Isn't that gorgeous? So it gives you a whole host of colours, but knowing at the root of it, it's going to match perfectly with the Night Sky Navy from our cardstock. Now, if we go in and take this one away, and I have put water on it, so I'm being a bit brave here, but if we take that one away, we're going to soak that off so that that's nice and clean, but we can see straight away how we've misted that through. We've got that beautiful shading going on, and if we bring in just a card here with our Night Sky Navy cardstock on it, we can see how perfectly that's coordinating. Now, I have little boards to share this with you as well, so let's see if I can find my boards. Honestly, I started this video off and I was so tidy and so organised, and the longer it's gone on, the more and more chaotic I've got. But I'm sure I've got them here somewhere. So let's give this a little bit of a dig. We had an awful lot to get through today. Lots and lots of products to share with you. So if we have a little look at the colours, this is our Rose Petal Pink, just misted. This is our Seashell Blue, just misted. This is our Sunbeam Yellow, just misted. And you might have spotted this already, but I've layered them all onto the matching colour of Elite cardstock. This is our Gladiator Red. Then we've got Heritage Green, so if you haven't done your Christmas projects yet, these are going to come in great for that. We've then got your Night Sky Navy. Now already we've shown that we can mist with them, we can go over stencils with them, we can paint with them, we can dilute them. What you might not imagine you can do with a mister is stamp with it. Now this is our Night Sky Navy used with our lace stamp. How beautiful is that? Heritage Green, Gladiator Red, Sunbeam Yellow. Now those four stamp like a dream. The lighter shades, and it's got to be something in the makeup to them, these go a little bit more patchy. And I'm being honest with you because I like you to know what you're going to get. I don't want to tell you, oh, they stamp brilliantly, and then you find that these two are a little bit more blurry than those four. I'd prefer to be honest with you at this stage. They are. It's got to be something in how they're constructed and made, but we get a bit too sciencey for my head to keep up there. But they still stamp beautifully, and I love that sort of vintage style to them. So I don't mind if they're really crisp or slightly more sort of faded out, especially when we're talking about lace and we're getting that sort of style to them. Knowing this is going to match in perfectly with our beautiful cardstock, to me, that's amazing. So when we talk about stamping with a mister, there's a couple of different ways in which we can do this. We can stamp with them like you would... sorry, I've lost my own train of thought here. That's what happens when I try and do two things at once. So I'll try again. We can stamp with them by misting directly over the stamp. So I'm just cleaning off my stamp here because I didn't think to do that before I got this. So we'll do that now, and we'll bring in our Night Sky Navy. Now, of course, we're going to get a bit onto our platform, but that's fine. We can wipe it away, and we'll bring in a piece of card. We'll anchor this down just so that if we need to reapply it, we can do. And we can stamp it just like so. Are you noticing how dirty the desk gets? The longer we talk, the longer I go on, the messier the background gets. It's fine. Let's give that a bit more of a push. So we can stamp with it directly by misting over the top. And to be honest with you, if I've ever thought to do stamping with a mister before, that's pretty much how I've gone about it. Not really thinking this through. And I'm sure I'm probably the last person here to have come up with this, because that's usually the way this works. But actually, if we bring in a blending tool, and I'll pick up actually the ink off of here. If we pick up this ink instead, see, it's as if I planned this so I could clean. I didn't, but we'll go with it. And apply the ink directly, going over the top with our blending tool. I found that I get a much crisper stamped image. To be honest, to the point it looks like I've done it with an ink pad. And to me, that's great because, again, it means I've saved money. And we sell ink pads, so, you know, I shouldn't say this, but it saved me pennies on buying that colour in an ink pad because I've got it in a mister. So I can mist with it, I can stamp with it, I can paint with it, and I've got it to mix into other items. I couldn't really ask for more out of one little bottle. Now, you might want to build this up. Bear in mind, I'm just taking ink off of the background here. So you might want to build it up a little bit. You might even prefer to mist out onto a tile or a little palette and pick your ink up from there and bring that across. But hopefully you're getting the idea of how lovely it is. And I've stamped on the other side, actually. I should have done it the other way around. But if you look to this one, quite blurry, quite sort of messy in places. We go back to this side, very crisp, very pretty. So just build that up, play with that. But I assure you, that's how I have created these little cards here, showing you how you can stamp with them. And I felt they were really, really beautiful. Then another little tip for you, and we go off, and I'm going off on so many tangents today, aren't I? Is mixing these in with your texture pastes. Now, in our last release, we bought for you our lovely gemstones texture base. I'm just going to try and clean up a little. Look how messy I am today. Oh, this is another tip for you. If you run out, which might happen, you know, I've got a bit carried away with mine. You can see already how many samples and bits I've done with it, how messy I get with them, because I'm a messy crafter. If you do run them through, peel off the label, very easy to do, not one of them labels you're going to have to soak for 17 years to get it off. Refill it with water, and you've got yourself a perfect little mister bottle as well. I love recycling things in the craft world. I love recycling full stop, but I love the idea that I've actually saved a bit on having to go out and buy a mister bottle, because once I've used this one up, I've got a mister bottle from it. So again, just a little bit of an idea there for you. Another idea is mixing this product into different mediums, and the one I've fallen in love with is mixing it into our gemstones texture paste. So here is the Heliodor mixed with the Night Sky Navy. Now all you're going to do is take your texture paste, put it out onto a tile, and then pump a couple of little mists onto the top of it, mix it all together and put it through your stencil. What will happen, and this only literally hit me last week, was when we talk about texture paste, we have glitter suspended in a clear medium. And the clear medium is clear. It will dry clear. You'll never know it was there, but it holds the glitter in place, like a quick dry clear glue, if you will. If we add the mister into the concoction, the glitter will repel the ink because it's a dye-based ink. So it's not an alcohol ink. It's not going to weld itself to the glitter and cover that glitter in a colour. So the colour's got to go somewhere. So it goes into that clear medium and it colours the clear medium. So when we use that for a stencil, we're going to get the navy in the clear medium, but we're still going to get that glitter shining too. You might also find you get like a little halo run around your elements, which I really love, because again, it just ties into the mats and layers and stamped images that we're going to see throughout the rest of your project. But it just works really nicely. So that's Night Sky Navy and Heliodor. This is Gladiator Red and Diamond White. So even when we're talking about white glitter, still repelling, red going into the background, works a treat. And then for this one, this is our Argentite, which is our silver gemstones texture paste, mixed again with the Gladiator Red. I haven't done all of the combinations because there's obviously, we've got 6 gemstones texture pastes, we've got 6 of the Elite Misters, that's quite a lot of options, but you get playing, see what you can come up with. Never be afraid to mix products, see what you come up with. The worst that's going to happen is you might make a little bit of a concoction, find it doesn't do what you wanted, and you've sort of potentially wasted them pea-size elements of these pieces. But to be honest, if you find something like this, what we've created here is a 2-tone glitter texture paste. And I might be wrong, I'm sure I am, but I have never seen that on the market. I don't know of anybody that has done a 2-tone texture paste in any form with glitter in it and then a different colour medium. And I think that looks really, really lovely. So give that a try and see what you think of it. Then moving on from our misters, because now we can see that we can mix them, we can paint with them, we can mist them, we can stencil with them, we can do so much with them. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to want to do that onto. And you've seen a lot of this through our samples again today. But I'm talking about our brand new product. This is, oh, can you see the shine? This is also new. This is our Foiled Inkables A4 sheets. And there are 4 different options for you with this. And it is glorious. We have got entwined pansies in gold and silver. And we have got marble in gold and silver. And if you've not heard of our Foiled Inkables before, we did some frames, which were still available, but we did some frames and everybody absolutely loved them. And it really spurred me on to want to bring you more in this range. So what I've done is I've had these foiled onto uncoated cardstock. Normally when card is foiled, it's done onto a pearlescent card or a glossy card. And that means that if you want to bring in any medium to colour it, not only are you going to colour the background, you're also going to end up colouring the foil too, and you're going to lose it. Well, with these, that doesn't happen. And I'll give you a little example here. Let's put in one of our ink pads. Now, you're not probably going to choose to do this direct from the ink pad at home, but it will show it to you quite nice and quickly. If we bring in our inks and we start adding these over the top, you're going to see that we can buff this off of that foil, but the white element of it will absorb the colour. And it means that we're going to end up being able to create our very own background card to coordinate all of our project. Now you might choose to use our ink. So I've brought in Piggy Pink for the top bit and I've brought in Blue Emperor for the latest piece. I'll give this a bit of a buff just to take off that ink off of the areas that we don't want it. But of course it doesn't just have to be inks in that form. It could of course be our Elite Misters. So let's bring in a bit of this. Now you watch how quick that repels. Isn't that glorious? Now, of course, we mentioned this with our Elite Misters. These match the colours of our cardstock. So not only can we do all them painting, mixing bits we were just talking about, we can spray this over our Foiled Inkables. And then we've got this card that's going to match our flat card or our plain card. So straight away, we bring this into a project like this one here. And you've got that Night Sky Navy running through in the Elite card, and you've got it in the foiled element. So that foiled card could have been on the inside here and then had a little element to do your message and your writing on, and it would just work, wouldn't it? So to me, having that ability to be able to colour my own cardstock, whether it be with inks, and by inks, I don't only mean our inks, this could be oxide inks, dye inks, distress inks, make art inks, all of the inks you've already got, all of the misters you've possibly already got, give them a try, see how you feel. But it's going to look beautiful because that foil's going to repel, you're going to get the foil come through, you're going to get that colour come through. Love this. Now, as I mentioned, 4 different designs. You get 5 sheets in each packet. So gold and silver of the marble and gold and silver of the entwined pansies. So 4 different options for you, 5 sheets per pack. Now, just to give you a few ideas, this is the silver marble coloured with the seashell blue Elite Mister. This is using our chameleon green quick dry pigment ink pad, I'll get there in a minute, over the top of it. And of course, this is the gold marble. This is oxide ink, seedless preserves, used over the top of the gold pansies. This one is our Elite Mister in Gladiator Red, used over the silver marble. This one is Sunbeam Yellow, used over the silver marble. This is Sunbeam Yellow, used over the silver pansies. And then the pink, which is Rose Petal Pink, the green, which is Heritage Green, and the Gladiator, bought in and painted over the top of the pieces that are needed so that you get that two-tone effect. But it doesn't matter whether we're looking at small pieces or really big, beautiful ones. These just look absolutely stunning. So have a play with those. If you've not seen them before, those are a real game changer, and I think you're going to love them. When we start bringing them into cards, you can see just how much they set these cards off and give you that lovely foiled background that of course you can then mix in with mirror cards, your stamped images and your bling to really make them sort of sparkle and shimmer. Now, I'm nearly got through all of the bits I've got to talk to you about today. There is just a couple more and then I promise I'm going to stop talking and leave you in peace. We gave you a flash of this earlier on. This is one of our new additions. Now, this hasn't been seen before. It's literally launched at the same day to the world as our lovely Floral Lace Collection. This is our 1 litre quick or clear drying glue, sorry. We've bought you these and we know you love them. These are 125ml bottles. This one is now our 1 litre bottle. So huge value for money in savings here. It's got a really cool nozzle on it. So again, you can easily take this one apart and refill it. And I would urge you to refill into these bottles. These bottles are brilliant and nozzles are impeccable. I genuinely paid a lot of money for these nozzles and I rant and rave about them an awful lot, but so do you. All of the feedback we're getting is how incredible this nozzle is and how great this glue is to work with. We even heard a story of one lady who forgot to put her lid back on her glue, and I always get the days wrong, but I think it was on Saturday, and she got to Thursday before she realised, and there still wasn't a blockage in her nozzle. It was still absolutely fine to go. And I'm going to be honest, and I can't guarantee it, you know, these aren't guarantees we can give out, but it is the truth. I've been working with this glue in this bottle now for probably 6 months-ish, maybe slightly longer. I have never once had to unblock a nozzle. Not once. It's incredible. It's like magic. I don't know how it happens. I don't know why, but it's something I didn't expect, but I absolutely love. The actual glue itself is also great. It's clear drying, it goes on white, it dries clear. It's PVA, it's water-based, so we can wash it off easily. And now, when we look at this big bottle, we are getting these at super, super prices to be able to refill these smaller bottles time after time and save a fortune. And this is something that's really important to me. We all need glue, we all need cardstock. But we don't really want to spend a fortune on it, do we? We want to spend our money on fun things like hot air balloon stamps and flower stamps and MDF bits and all of them pieces. So if I can save you some money on your consumables like these, the boring bits really, I'm absolutely going to do it. And this again is where we're going with our next product, which you may have already seen, but I'm going to bring in to share with you. These are our new value packs of Elite cardstock, and we haven't done all of the colours, but we have got 3 options for you. We have got Pebble Grey in a 50 pack at a fantastic value price. Now, of course, when I talk about prices, I don't want to set them for our retailers. I want them to be able to go for what they feel is required and what they need for their margins. So do have a little look at our different stockists, shop around a little, go through our stockists, but they should be stocking this already. You'll be able to get it, and it's a fantastic price, especially in comparison to buying the 10 packs. So we have got Pebble Grey for you. Now, this is a limited stock product. All Pebble Grey, once it's gone, it's gone. Whether it's the 50 pack, the 10 pack, or the card blanks, when they're gone, they're gone. We then have for you 50 sheets of our Raven Black. Now, this again, great cardstock to be working on. All of our Elite card has a colour cord to it, and it's a strong weight. The black is 270, all of the other colours are 300 GSM. So when we're talking about construction, matting and layering, die cutting, stamping, embossing, it works for all of them. Then our super duper value pack. This is our white Elite cardstock, and this is polar white, so as white as we're going to get. It's acid free, 300 GSM, and in this pack you receive 100 sheets. So again, trying to save every penny we can for you on one of the essentials we know you're going to go through time and time again, and they are also new and out now. So just to recap, we have had for you Elite card, new glue, Elite misters, our foiled inkable sheets, our MDF, our matching stencils, our 8x8 stencils, and our 6 different options in our new Floral Lace stamps. I don't know about you, I'm exhausted. I think I've picked the hottest day of the year to film this video and to try and jam pack all of that lot into one video for you. Now there are a lot more samples than what I've shared with you in today's video because I think we've already topped an hour. But do keep an eye on my Facebook page, which is Jamie Rodgers Crafts, where you'll be able to see more samples appearing, including a complete album of all of the samples. If you have any questions about all of the waffling I've been doing today throughout all of these products and all of these techniques, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my very best to answer them for you. I hope I've given you a little insight into how these products work and what you could be achieving with them. But to be honest with you, I think we've just scratched the surface, especially when we're looking towards the ways in which we can play with these. When we're looking at stamps, it's one thing. When we're looking at stencils, it's another thing. When we're looking at MDF, it's another thing. When we bring in the mediums such as the airless misters, the gemstones, texture paste, the quick dry pigment ink pads, there's just endless ways we can take these products and the creations that we can make with them. And I can't wait, genuinely, and I always say this, to see what you create with them. It's one thing designing them, it's one thing getting to play with them. It's another thing when the design team send us our samples and we get to see what they've done with them. But it's a whole other world when we get to see what you make with them. You are really the best part of the job because of it's what you create and how you do it that inspires us and inspires our future products. Because if I see that you really fall in love with the MDF, or you really love the way the stencil match the MDF, the stamps, or the MDF, or that you really go to town with the Elite misters, it's certainly things that we'll bring more out of in the future. So please don't ever hesitate to share with us what you've been creating. You know where to find me. I'm everywhere. Just look for Jamie Rodgers Crafts and I'll pop up whether we're on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're looking, and of course tag me and share with me what you've been doing. Now, as I mentioned a couple of times throughout the video, if you would like to track down some of these items, please do go and support our stockists. We have a whole host of incredible stockists that we're so proud to be working with, and we've genuinely got shops up and down the country and retailers who are stocking our goods, and they're all on our stockist list, so do have a little look through them. You might find a new favourite stockist for all of your crafting goodies on there, but they're great people and it's really lovely to be able to give them incredible products to be able to bring to you as well. So check them out too. Thank you so much for watching today, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon for our next video. Do keep an eye out, there is quite a few little mini demo videos coming up with this collection, and they'll be appearing on our YouTube channel in the coming weeks, because I like to try and give you new fresh ideas once these bits and bobs have arrived with you, so that we carry on crafting, because that's what it's all about. Thanks a lot for watching, bye for now.